afternoon. As Lieutenant Zunker said, I'm Chip Meister, the Sauk County Sheriff, and I'd like to thank you all for being here. 1 year ago today, our Sheriff's Office dispatch took a very difficult call. A man was down on Grotto's Trail, there was blood, and it appeared to be an emergency. First responders from the Sauk County Sheriff's Office, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Baraboo Fire and Emergency Medical Services immediately responded. Many other law enforcement agencies responded to our call shortly after. The man was identified as John Smutzer of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. He died shortly after the call was made. He died a brutal death when he was simply trying to enjoy the beauty that Sauk County and our state parks have to offer. Since that day, the Sauk County Sheriff's Office and the Department of Natural Resources, along with the State of Wisconsin Crime Lab, and many other law enforcement partners have been working tirelessly to identify and capture the person responsible for this violent attack. Unfortunately, we have not yet accomplished that mission, but we will not give up either. At the 1 year mark of this investigation, I want to assure our citizens and visitors to the area, and most of all, to the family and friends of John Smutzer, that we will continue to work to solve this case going forward. I also want to reassure everyone that this incident is isolated. Our citizens and visitors to Sauk County and the state and county parks should not feel unsafe. Sauk County and our state parks host millions of visitors every year without incident prior to and since this tragedy.
I would love nothing more than to be standing here to announce an arrest in the case. Unfortunately, I cannot. I would like to take this opportunity to extend the condolences of the Sauk County Sheriff's Office, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, once again to the family and friends of John. He was, by all accounts, a good and respected man, loved by many and sorely missed. In the past year, sheriff's detectives, DNR investigators, crime lab personnel, and other law enforcement partners have worked daily to solve this case. Over 150 tips and leads have been received and fully investigated. Hundreds of people across the United States have been contacted and interviewed. More than 30 items of evidence have been sent and analyzed by the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. Some of those examinations are still ongoing. 8 DNA samples were collected by potential persons of interest. Some have been ruled out while others remain under analysis. Approximately 30 search warrants, subpoenas, and other court orders have been obtained and served, the results of which have been and continue to be analyzed. 3 detectives and investigators have been primarily assigned to this case for the past year, while many others have contributed significantly in support roles to this investigation when needed. I cannot recall a day over the past year when this case was not discussed. Unfortunately, to date, we have not been able to identify a suspect. We do have an unidentified person of interest who we have referred to as the runner, who was seen by more than 15 separate witnesses in various parts of Devil's Lake State Park, from South Shore Road, nearby the scene of the homicide, to the East Bluff Trail, at about the midpoint between North and South Shore. Seemingly frantic, running in what has been described as an uncontrolled fashion, falling on several occasions. This person was described as approximately 6 feet tall, wearing dark-colored top, possibly a hoodie, dark-colored pants with rips in the knees. This person may have left the park on foot and entered the Baraboo or surrounding rural community. The timing and locations of these sightings lead investigators to believe that this person may be the person responsible for John's death. All other persons of interest previously sought in this investigation have been identified and interviewed. October 14th last year was a day very similar to today, a nice Wisconsin fall day. The park had a good number of visitors enjoying nature and the weather, which is exactly what John was doing, taking a break from his job and the busy life that we all lead to recharge and reset. Unfortunately, John ran into someone who, for whatever reason, took his life in the most brutal and violent attack I have seen in more than 30 years of law enforcement. I have said from the beginning of this investigation that cases such as these are solved by a person or persons having the courage to face the fact that they know or may have knowledge about who's responsible for this death, and then bringing that information forward to get justice for John and to potentially save the life of another victim down the road. I still completely believe that. I still believe that there's a person or our people who know who is responsible for John's death. They saw or heard something after the event and have yet to come forward and speak to law enforcement. I say to them, now is the time. It is beyond time to bring your information and evidence, if you have any, to us, for the sake of John and for our communities as a whole. The person responsible for this act must be brought to justice. We will continue to investigate this case hand in hand with the Wisconsin DNR. We will continue to explore new and innovative ways to analyze physical evidence and DNA. We will expand our partnerships with law enforcement and laboratories to wherever necessary. The case file will remain with a detective and will remain an active investigation, exploring every new tip, new lead, piece of evidence, or hunch as we get them.